For an artist guy, like, I haven't really just talked about the designs of something, like, ever. Let's fix that. Before I put this ranking of Mori Jin's designs, please do me a favor and leave your own ranking of Mori Jin designs in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Now, let's get into it. What's up, guys? I got the pencil here, and here we are to rank Mori Jin's designs. I specifically mean Mori Jin. Specifically, I know there are like 15 different Moris in the entirety of God of High School. We are not ranking all of them. That's for another video, and that's going to be like an hour long. Because golly, there are a lot of them. And even then, if I were just ranking their designs, that would also take a while. But essentially, I am going to be talking about the main four. I'm going to say four. I think it's four. Mori Jin, Mori Dawn, Supreme Deity Mori Jin, and Monkey King Mori Jin. Sun Wukong mode. Essentially, I would like split Wukong mode and like original Wukong into different ones, but they're similar enough that I feel like I don't have to do it. I feel like it. Maybe I should. Do I split that? I'm thinking this right now, like live. You know what? But no, there's not enough differences between the two, honestly, unless I were to do like, actually, no, yeah, I know what I'll do. Yep, never mind. So we know exactly what we're going to do now. Just live decision making with that guy with the pencil. But we're going to hop into it right now with number 5. Yo, unfortunately, Supreme Deity Mori Jin just doesn't do it for me, or Supreme God Mori Jin, whichever one you want to call him. The Seven Deadly Sins family just won't stop calling him Supreme God Mori Jin. But the reason I don't necessarily like this design so much is because of how basic it is, and I get why it's supposed to be basic. It's always supposed to be just Mori Jin, no limiters. Like, that's it. He's just supposed to have broken the limits of the loop of binding, and bada bing, bada boom, he's the strongest dude around. But considering we get to see this design, like, twice, I think the most we see it is once, obviously when he defeats the big bad boss of Ragnarok again, and then he pulls it out against Ogre. I'm pretty sure that's what this transformation is. Like, he flares up to full power one more time and he gets like the lighter brown hair. And like, that's the thing, I like the coloring of the hair. That's about it. I'm not gonna lie, like the rest of the design is kind of whack. It's not even whack. It's just too simple and not saucy enough. Like, the thing is, while seeing all the scars on Mori's body is cool, and I like the way his hair does do that little color shift, especially in every single one of his appearances, and it sort of applies like a higher elevation of power, and also is like good thematically for showing that your true power isn't all this fancy stuff. It's just what you are naturally, your years of experience built up to what you are now, fully free and fully released. I like the design philosophy behind it. I'm not necessarily a fan of the execution. Like, I get the merit behind the design. I think the design has purpose, and honestly, I'm super excited to see him like regain the power of this form if he ever does in the final fight with Mubong. So that would be great to see. But in terms of simple design prospects, like, it has nothing. There's nothing special about it. Like, I could get this design pretty much from base Mori Jin, but even then, I think base Mori Jin looks way cooler. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's just nothing about this design inherently yells out and grabs me. Like, if you were to tell me, oh, by the way, this is the Monkey King's ultimate form, and you just plop this in front of me, I'd be like, darn, all right, that's it. Like, that's it. I would feel like a bit underwhelmed, and that's what I feel like. Like, from the fact that this form has such rare appearances in the first place, like, it almost never shows up. Then on top of that, it has like, there's just nothing special about it. Like, we even get to see variations of, like, not necessarily this form in general, but we get to see variations of like Mori Jin with his scars showing. Like, we get to see Mori Dawn with it. I feel like Mori Dawn rocks it better. So I think this variation of Mori Jin, while cool in concept, it just isn't. It isn't what I want in terms of execution. That's it. However, enough of talking about and ragging on the Supreme God Mori Jin's design. Let's hop into number 4. Mori Dawn is pretty saucy. I'd say, like, out of all the Mori Jins we've had, in terms of just sheer drip, potential, and variety, well, man, Mori Dawn he's been rocking it. He has the shorter hair, he has the shortest hair, he has like these different variations of him. There's so many different versions of Mori Dawn when you're looking around. Like, you can find him in multiple different outfits, you can find him in multiple different levels of sauce, you can see him with multiple different hair lengths. There's even that one like freshly transformed like half Mori Jin, half Mori Dawn that we see like in the very first major arc of post time skip, post Ragnarok. So, like, honestly, in terms of sheer design, Mori Dawn does get a lot of points. However, I think the design purposely is once again like the Supreme God Morrigan design, a bit subdued. Like while I do like that this design sort of has a presence to it that varies from the base Morrigan, I think in the same vein, it loses some of the flair that makes the initial Morrigan design so attention grabbing. Like the shorter hair, while like I believe Young J Park tried to compensate for it by giving him brighter hair, which is the blue, I think it just doesn't do as much. It's not as like stand outish. And I think that's supposed to be the point. This is supposed to be like the human version of Sun Wukong. So this does make sense on the level of like, yo, this is a human man. He's not going to be as like dramatic and attention grabbing, but at the same time, that doesn't necessarily save the design in terms of like my interest level. And the thing is, another thing that's really cool to note is that his design like has like a fringe to it. Like the longest bang on his head is like cut short for some reason. I never noticed if that was like a thing that was intentional, or if it's just like it just happened to happen. But I like how it's supposed to imply like this is really a limited state. Like when he evolves, his hair grows. Everything when he evolves, he evolves. And I think that's the point. Like this is supposed to be a lighter base state for him to exist in. And while I do think it looks really, really cool, especially with things like the UA on him, he has very different elements of his design that I enjoy a lot. In fact, he is one of my favorite looks for the drippy dragon armor suits. Like when he has it like post the fight with Dean and it sort of just like pops up on his shoulders and it's tattered up and it has like the big emphasis is placed on like the design that hangs around his waist. I think that's very, very cool. It's a very, very cool design. But in terms of like design, like schmacking, like this one once again, it has its merits. It does very, very good at what it do well, right, what it does. But in terms of like, yes, this is attention grabbing, top of the line. Like this is what I will call peak character design. Not necessarily, and I think that very much has to do with the lack of like. He's very rarely. Design isn't as attention grabbing. I don't know. I don't really have any critiques for it because I get the point of it. Once again, I get the point of it narratively, but at the same time, like it's a purposefully underwhelming design, and it's supposed to be the contrast of it in terms of like the actual character that's in there. Like this is a character or version of Morrigan that's gone under extreme development, extreme like stress and change and like disharmony, and I think that's great. And honestly, I'd rate Mori Dawn higher in some areas than I do other versions of Mori. But in terms of design, outside like the one super standout exception, which I do believe is the drip dragon armor suits, is not necessarily the most attention grabbing design. But enough of that. Let's stop racking on this and let's move on to number 3. I actually really enjoy the initial transformation of the Monkey King mode. Like, the one where he just has the loop of binding in UA. That's, like, one of my favorite designs for him. I have no idea why. I think it's just, like, the implications of the design is what grabs me. Honestly, as you can probably tell by, like, the intro, the loop of binding, despite it being, like, a thing of limitation, is one of my favorite design things from God of High School. I think it's really, really cool, and I love the look of it. So, just introducing that and, like, starting to lean into the more deific side of Morrigan. It's very, very cool. I appreciate it. And I think the start of it is what like it's one of its biggest blessings and one of its biggest holdbacks. Whoa, I don't know where my English was going. But like it's leaning into what I would consider like, whoa, we're starting to get like a deity. And I like how it's like so unrefined. Like especially when it first pops up, like his eyes just do the split thing. He like starts to obtain it, but he doesn't have full access or control over it. And I think it really meshes well with his like his early series design, like from the torn pants, the hole in the shirt, everything. That initial design is really, really cool, and I appreciate that. I think that's pretty smooth. I think that's pretty spicy. However, that's about it. That's the thing. Like it takes the base Morrigan design and sort of like amps it up, and I think while that's cool, I think there's some, like, as a whole, due to how little we see this form, before we get to, like, the full Sun Wukong mode, then I think, like, oh, okay. Like, we don't get enough of it. It's sort of like the Supreme Deity Morrigan mode. I keep saying Supreme Deity. 7 Deadly Sins has affected me too much. But it's sort of like the Supreme Deity Morrigan mode, and where it's not as much as it could be. But that's with purpose. It's supposed to be an incomplete state, so I can't even get mad at it. But compared to other complete states, I can't rank it any higher. The only reason it goes higher than Mori Dawn is because, once again, a very striking design that has enough extra detail on it, that it has the sauce of the loop of binding, but at the same time, it does have enough, like, it's weird to say limitations. There's enough limitations on it that it's obviously not a complete state. So almost on Ultra, well, I feel like if I were to make a comparison to Dragon Ball, essentially, this would be the Ultra Instinct Omen to Ultra Instinct. However, I actually like the look of Mastered Monkey King mode compared to Ultra Instinct Mastered. Like, that's the difference. Like, but honestly, enough of that. Let's move on. I don't know where that comparison was supposed to go, but let's move on to number 2. I actually really enjoy the base Mori Jin design. I think it's one of the most striking designs in the series. I think just for how, like, complete it feels on its own, from like the wrapping around the waist to the shirt to everything. Like, love his shoe. There's so many things about that design that makes it so, like, obviously there's so many things I want to cover about it, but obviously it's iconic for number 1. And 2, it's like, it's weird but amazing how it itself gets treated as its own form after a while. Like, becoming Mori Jin is an amp in of itself, because Mori Dawn is the human form, and then you sort of get to, like, the demon form, and then you have the god form, obviously. But I love how it sort of becomes this middle ground, and I love how adaptable the design is. Like, legitimately, in every single outfit, this design looks good due to the extra details of the hair. It's a very striking design, and a lot of the times we get to see that I can't, he's not a mangaka, he's the artist, essentially manages to show off a lot of, like, variety with this outfit, in how, not outfit, this form, with how the clothes it wields, and how the clothes it wears, and how flexible the design can be in terms of just, like, carrying different presence to it, different weights. Like, this is, in my mind, one of the easiest designs that can go from fun, lighthearted, like, ha ha ha, to, oh, sweet lord above, he's going to kill me. Like, legitimately, when Mori Jin is acting like a menace, he can definitely pull that off. I think that's very, very important for a design. For a design to be as flexible as this one, it definitely gets a lot of points in my book. So I'm rocking with it. But enough of that. Y'all know what I'm really rocking with. Let's get into number 1. Y'all know it had to be Monkey King mode. Come on now, bro. Y'all know it had to be the original. Y'all know it had to be that one. Yeah. I think the complete true design of the Monkey King, Mori Jin, Jaesedong mode. I have no idea if that's how you pronounce it. Once again, I'm horrible pronouncing things I got out of high school. But regardless of that, everything about this design is amazing. From the dragon armor suits, I'm always going to call it that. I know it's just the dragon armor suits, but they are always so drippy, or no matter who wears them, even though Dean wore best, I'm not going to lie. But the thing is, I love how this design just feels present. It feels complete. And while you could definitely argue it's just like a slightly more complicated evolution of the incomplete Mori Jin, not the incomplete Mori Jin mode, the incomplete Monkey King mode, I think that's the point. It feels like that final step, that final push, from the loop of binding becoming more refined as it floats around his head, from the different variation of the dragon, so sort of like flaring off of his body. Like, this form, just in its totality, implies like this higher level of power, this existence that seems just a little bit higher than before. I think that's great. I love how, like, it's weird to say this design feels monstrous but regal. Like, this definitely seems like a fusion between a primal being in the form of like a Monkey King and a deity. Like, this exemplifies what Mori Jin is to a point. And I think, while I do think the loop of binding, well, no, I don't think. I know the loop of binding, once again, is a sign of restriction. I think it sort of adds this, like, once again, this deific, is deific a word? I'm gonna say it is. Deific look to him. It makes him feel almost more refined. It's like, it's almost an extra design detail that brings the design all together. It centralizes it for me, because you can tell, like, there's sort of this regal nature by the way the armor suits like hold to him and flare out, and you can see the more primal nature in how, like, the bottom half of the armor suits is much more wild and flowing and chaotic. And then you can see like this, there's even still the remnants of his human self deep down inside with how he wears the pants. But even then, the boot, like everything about this design slaps. And I especially like the red eyes. The red eyes stand out in comparison to like all the other designs, because they're just, once again, it sort of goes into that whole, like, I know it's gonna sound corny, this whole primal nature behind the form that like exemplifies all that makes Mori Jin the Monkey King. So it do be slapping though. But that's what I think. Those are my rankings of the design. Please tell me your ranking of the designs in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Zach the Pencil, writing off.